Good morning, beautiful people. Man, I'm awfully red today. Feeling fiery. Carnivore experiment. It was brought to my attention that I never followed up with. How did that go? So when I heard the Cellcore class on carnivore, it made a lot of sense to me. They talked about how plants are trying to kill us, right? That an animal, when it tries to, its defense mechanism is to run away, right? And a plant can run away. So instead, it makes, oxalates and lectins and, histamines to deter you. And it makes fruit, right? Because that's what it really wants you to eat. It's the seed dispersal system. It says, here, eat this, don't eat me. And so, so much of it made sense. So I went full on carnivore for 2 weeks, lost a pound, felt great, lots of energy, felt great. And I started missing variety, and I was noticing that I was having some gut issues. And, I've always ran constipated my whole life. And I was fighting that big time. And so, I went back to my Weston A. Price roots, and I don't know, man. I think God gave us this beautiful bounty. There's this Carnivore 2.0 guy that I follow on Instagram, and I really like his model. His is whole, meat, fruits, which actually a lot of vegetables are fruits, and whole raw dairy, if your body can handle it, right? And eggs, so it was a little bit more, I guess it was more kind of like keto-ish, carno keto, kind of a hybrid. There is no one size fits all, really. And I whether it's vegan, which I really don't think anybody should do, there's a lot of nutrients missing in that. Same thing with carnivore. So I think on both ends of the spectrum, it gets too strict, too narrow. So personally, I really like the metabolic typing diet, or even the blood type diet has a lot of validity. I've seen some great results from that over the years. A lot of clinical correlation even with myself. So me with being an O type, and then my metabolic typing diet is a fast oxidizer. So I need a lot of fats and a lot of protein. So that's why that diet, it feels so good for me. But it's not void of vegetables and root vegetables. So I've gone back to more of a blood type diet for myself. Gone back to more of kind of a keto-ish, keeping the carbs low. Because even if you have a type that can handle grains, for instance, really nobody should be, this is the Weston A. Price side of me, nobody should be eating grains and nuts and seeds unless you're soaking or sprouting. They all have anti-nutrients, phytoestrogens, all these things that are actually really, really hard for us to break down. They cause mineral, they decrease the minerals, shortly after we eat them in our systems, so there's this, traditional way that our grandparents knew how to prepare these foods so that they were actually digestible and bioavailable. And we've gotten away from that. And so personally, I'm not going to be adding a lot of grains back in. I'm dabbling a little with grass-fed, pasture-raised dairy. My biggest issue with the dairy industry is the extreme torture and abuse in those animals. So I don't want to partake in that. But it is a very inflammatory food. And so for most folks that I'm working with in the beginning, I actually do, it needs to be grain-free, dairy-free for at least the first 3 to 6 months while we work on getting the inflammation down. So in short, I really did like carnivore. It felt good for me, but that's because my genetics, my blood type really thrives on that type of a diet. Everybody's different, and I do believe variety is the spice of life. God, it got so boring even after the 2 weeks. I don't know. But more power to you. But that was just kind of where I'm at. So I'm kind of back doing a O-type diet, high protein, high fat, with I have cut down my greens quite a bit. Like, my body just really doesn't like the oxalates in the greens. I've also cleared some food with some of the bioenergetic work. We've done some food clearings with that, so that's been awesome. But just because I clear things doesn't mean I'm going to add them back into my life, because I just know fundamentally they're not great for me. So that's where I'm at on my carnivore journey. So stay tuned.